Viking bag install part 2. All right, and welcome to the future. It is a longer amount of time in the future than I really want to admit. It's been a couple months since I actually worked on my motorcycle and filmed the video that you were just watching. And yeah, the quick answer, the short reason why that's the case is because, you know, life gets busy. I was busy with work and then just really didn't have a chance to get back to doing what I love and working on my motorcycle. And also part of the issue being that I let my garage get freaking messy. A little bit behind the scenes, but we're gonna go ahead and get everything cleaned up here and hopefully get these bags installed on the Honda Rebel. So I do apologize for a little bit of the setting change or if the audio changes, anything like that. I'm doing my best to try to get it as close to what it was as possible, but we'll get right back to the video once we do one of those little handy dandy snap skips to the future. 3, 2, 1. All right, and we are back. The garage is clean, and yeah, let's get these bags installed. First off, gonna need to unwrap this. This is the bag of extra parts that Viking sent, and shout out to them, at least for the time being, because they were able to send these parts pretty quickly. Like, I emailed them, and I think it was 2 days later that they got them in the mail, and then a few days after that I received them, so it was really quick. We'll see if it has what I need. I haven't checked yet, so let's do a quick little... Before I get ahead of myself, I'm a little worried here because I'm looking at these bolts here, and this is all they provided, and these are going to be way too long. Like, even if I take the shortest one, which there's 2 of, but so really it would be these ones. So say I take the shortest one here, and see if you can see back there. But I mean, that's going to stick way out. These stock bolts are just so short. I mean, I don't know if what you're supposed to double up the spacers maybe and do 2 like that, but even that, I don't know. So let me get all the instructions out. Let me get out what I have from previously and let's see if I can figure this out, because if not, I honestly not really sure what to do from here.
A few moments later.
All right, well, we have a little bit of an update. So I was able to use these bolts and ended up having to go with a double spacer. So I got this spacer, and then this little piece here that, you know, the quick disconnect system connects to. And if I'm being honest, I'm a little frustrated because I really wish these instructions were a little bit more detailed and would explain what exactly needs to go where. Because if you take a look here, it's kind of annoying. I mean, it just literally just shows a little picture, but then when it comes down to the fender, I mean, what in the heck is that? You know, and this little piece, it looks like there's nothing sticking out there. Yeah, I'm not really impressed with that. I'm honestly a little frustrated that it's taken this long to figure this out, but I think I have a solution. I don't know. Leave a comment down below and let me know if you've dealt with this in the past. I feel like some other videos I've seen have dealt with this, but yeah, you can see. So I got the little spacer, the larger spacer, and then the quick disconnect system. And it kind of also frustrates me because that means I have to have the bolts even farther away. So, I mean, the bags will start right here, so they're going to sit pretty far out. Actually, yeah, let's just look at it real quick. See if I can do this one-handed while holding the camera. I mean, so it's not the end of the world, but it gives the bag another inch or so to stick out. But the thing that I'm worried about is the travel if I bottom out the bike. So, you know, you can see that the bolt sticks out pretty far. I don't know, the other bolts, I mean, this is the shortest bolt I have. The other bolts were way too far, but this one, I mean, it's kind of like right on the line. I feel like if I were to really bottom out, I might have an issue, but 99.9% of the time I'm okay. So, I don't know, TBD, I'm going to get the rest of these in and kind of see how it goes, but hopefully I'm not wrecking tires with this. What's going on, everybody? So, I was sitting around doing some editing and got to this part in the video and just figured that it made a little bit of sense to add a couple additional clips for some more context. I did end up changing a few things on this bolt and installation process, and so I just want to go through a couple of those items. The process is the same overall. I didn't think it really made sense to delete the videos I had already filmed and then go through and film new ones. And so because the process of putting the bolts on is the same, I'm gonna just go ahead and just kind of drop these clips in here and just explain kind of what I did differently and everything. There's a couple things that I learned, as well as just a few things that I think I should have done differently. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and share those as well. Back to the video. Hello, this is another video from the future. The first thing that I want to make sure that I stress that's really, really important is making sure that you're using the correct bolts. Because the quick disconnect system that I purchased from Viking was technically a Honda Rebel quick disconnect system. It might have been for the older model Rebels before the 500 and 300 were released, but it technically did say it was a Honda Rebel quick disconnect system. I just assumed that the bolts that they provided were the correct bolts for this bike. Let me tell you how wrong I was in that assumption. I ended up using the incorrect bolts. The Honda Rebel from the factory uses all metric system bolts, as far as I know. The fender bolts here that you're replacing are on the metric system. They are an M8 bolt. Viking provides bolts that are on the Imperial system. I didn't really realize this. For some reason, the bolts that Viking provided ended up working out fine. I was able to fit them in there and they went in totally fine. I really didn't have any issues. And so what I ended up doing when I needed shorter bolts was I went to the hardware store and I bought new bolts that just matched the ones that Viking had provided. I just was being naive and assuming that they were the correct ones. I didn't really think about it, and I came home and ended up putting a Imperial system bolt in a metric system thread, and it broke. So that was a huge pain. I got a whole nother video kind of just going over that. You guys can give me a hard time for that in that video. But just make sure that whenever you're replacing any bolts on your motorcycle, not just these ones, that you are being sure you're using the correct bolts. And so I want to make sure that I stress that. I don't think I'm ever going to make this mistake again because it was a massive headache. All right, and to get these on, you need a 13mm socket. It really doesn't give you a lot of room. I guess it kind of lines up with the outer part of the tire, but still. One important thing to appease the OCD and make sure the bag fits right, make sure you have the right order and that you have this quick disconnect system, little bracket, the right way. So as you can see, I have it the wrong way right there. Another freaking sticker. Ah! All right, well, this is annoying. I guess I didn't really think about it. And if maybe these f***ing instructions would have been more useful, I think this quick disconnect bracket probably needs to be flipped, right? Wouldn't you want the stronger side towards the bag so that if you have any kind of weight pulling on it? I don't know if it matters. I'm gonna do some research and report back. Banging my knuckles, dropping tools, but you know what? It wouldn't be a motorcycle part install if it wasn't for all that kind of stuff happening. All right, so I just watched the video from Viking installing the quick disconnect system, and they have it this way. So you know what? Full speed ahead, baby. I'm not changing a thing. Let's get this last one on and let's get these freaking bags on. Whew, man, that took way longer than I wanted it to. I'm still worried with the bolts sticking out, but I'm not super worried. They're not crazy far out. I mean, at the end of the day, you know what? YOLO. I want these saddlebags on ASAP so I can have them. It's riding season. But yeah, I'll just keep an eye on them, keep an eye on my tires, see if there are any weird marks or anything like that. And honestly, I probably could just go to a hardware store and get other bolts. So yeah, I should probably do that, or take these bolts and shear off the ends of them. So the two things that I ended up doing differently are, I went to the hardware store after getting the correct M8 bolts. Basically, I wanted to get the saddlebags to sit closer to the fender. So I bought these shorter bolts. I believe these are inch-long bolts, and put them in here with just the mounting bracket here for the quick disconnect system. And then if you look, so it's a little hard to see there, but there's really just nothing sticking out. I was really worried about the clearance for the tire, if the bike were ever to bottom out, anything like that. I wanted to make sure that I had bolts in there that weren't gonna be scraping on the tire. That's really not safe, and even if nothing bad were to happen, it's still gonna be damaging the tire, and I really don't want to replace those any sooner than I need to. I've got shorter bolts in there that are the correct threading, and then because there wasn't enough room on the other side to put a nut on, I put some Loctite on. And so I used the blue Loctite, which is one that you can actually break free. So it's there, it keeps the bolts strong. I've used these for about 500 miles. They've had no issues. I mean, they're really solid in there. The bolts stay in there nicely, but you can still break it free if you ever needed to in the future. Those are the differences. Everything else is the same in terms of the process and putting them on there. I did put the nuts that they came with on the other side. I don't think it's really necessary because the inside of this little fender bracket is threaded. So the stock bolts didn't have any nuts on the other side, but I threw them on there anyway. And yeah, next step is to get the quick release system. Take this and put it on the bike, loosen these two sides up, figure out where you want it, tighten everything down, and then yeah, you got to put the bags on. The next step after that is taking the bags and lining them up exactly where you want on the bike, marking them, and then drilling the holes so that you can mount the bags to the hardware. So you just want to make sure that the key is in the unlock position. These slide back and forth, so you just want to line things up and tighten it down, and then you want to take the system off and put it back on a couple times, just so that you're sure it's, you know, everything lines up properly. So now that I have them in there, I can slide the bracket back and forth, and I'm not exactly sure where I want it. I am worried about hitting the shock up here. Got a decent amount of clearance back here with the turn signal, so I might just kind of angle it back, just, you know, maybe do like 3/4 or 2/3 of the way, just so that I have enough room away from the shocks. So yeah, I think there's probably a good spot. If you got your key here, pull it out so it's locked, and it does not wiggle at all, so I'm pretty happy with that. So I just realized in order to come out, the disconnect system has to slide forward. So I'm actually gonna move it back a little bit more so I'm not, you know, I really don't wanna be dinging up the shock at all right here. And this is kind of a point of contact. So I'm gonna slide it probably almost all the way back, and then we'll see how that looks. So yeah, now I've got a lot more, you know, a couple inches of clear, inch and a half of clearance there in order to take this off. So for the Rebel 500 at least, I think it makes sense to probably have the quick disconnect system slid all the way back. But the good news is this is adjustable. So if I don't like it or there's another issue I run into, I can always change it. So now I got to figure out, because again, these instructions are just garbage. Hopefully, yeah, these instructions are terrible. So the step here is, yeah, take a screwdriver and tighten the bottom bolts. And then the next step is to measure where you want the bag at, but it doesn't specify what you're supposed to do with these here, these little side guys. So I don't know if maybe these nuts come off and then this is the top mount of the bag. That could be the case. Hopefully this last little bit isn't too terrible, and hopefully I can articulate the headaches that I'm running into and allow you to avoid some of those when you're installing these. So yeah, you're gonna get these same instructions and they're annoying, so hopefully this video helps. From what I can find, these actually come out, and that's how you're gonna drill, or one of the areas you're gonna drill your holes. So in order to secure this quick disconnect system to your bike, you need to make sure that you screw in these down here. Well, the problem is This brake cylinder is in the way of the front one, so I can't tighten it down. I can only finger tighten it. So hopefully the back one is strong enough. One other thing I want to make sure I mentioned is that this angled end right here, if you take a look, this is not angled, this is angled. You want the angled end facing forward. All right, so now we have the bottom bolts tightened down. We have the quick disconnect bracket where we want. We have the bolts that came in it out. So I think we're ready to line up the bag, and essentially all you do is grab the bag, hold it up, and figure out where you want it visually. I hate doing stuff like this because I tend to try to be a perfectionist and it becomes a huge pain. Yeah, you hold the bag up and then you take a marker. I have my handy dandy silver Sharpie. They say chalk or a marker, so this is all I had, so I'm gonna try this. And you mark essentially the back line here and the corners so that then you pull this system off, and that's how you drill the holes. So this is gonna require 2 hands, and actually it's probably gonna require 4 hands, so I'm gonna have my wife come help me out, and obviously not gonna be able to hold the camera while I'm trying to figure this out. So I'm gonna go ahead and line the bag up, do my marks, and then show you what I come up with. All right, so that was probably one of the easier parts about this install. I had the quick release bracket on the motorcycle, and then I lined it up with the bag, and I made some markings. You can see, got one there, one up here, and one over there. You basically want to just line this up. There are 5 holes, and the video that's on YouTube from Viking provides 5 bolts per bag, but this may be because this is a medium bag instead of like an extra large or something like that. The instructions only show 4 points, and so there's only 4 bolts. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do 1, 2, and then 3 and 4. I'm gonna line this up. And one thing I wanted to note, it kind of threw me for a second, was when you're looking at this, you know, if you kind of look straight down, you definitely can see that the quick disconnect system is slanting down. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I was like worried. I grabbed everything and I put it back on the motorcycle for a second, just to make sure. And the reason for that is, you know, I did my best, right, to visually make sure that the bag was looking nice and level. And if you take a quick look here, you can actually see that this bolt here sits higher than this bolt. So don't worry, your quick disconnect system will be at an angle, but if you do it right, you can get as close to as level as possible. So I tried to level out the bottom of the bag. The only thing that I'm a little worried about is that the bottom of this system is pretty low to the bottom of the bag. And so I'm not sure if that bolt's gonna fit. Well, I think I got enough room after feeling comfortable with lining things up. The good news is if this is slightly off from your measurements, it's probably not gonna be an issue, because when you do the other bag, you're gonna be measuring to what you did to this bag. At least the bags are gonna be close to, or you know, pretty close to being the same. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so hopefully that's good enough. Let's get to drilling. The instructions call for 8 millimeters. Yeah, come on over here. You gotta place the bag on a clean soft surface facing up, unmount the bracket, place it on the back of the bag, blah, blah, blah. Remove brackets and drill 4 marked holes. Okay, it's not gonna be perfect. It might not be perfectly straight, but we're gonna do the best we can with what we got. That's a nice, mighty fine hole right there, if I do say so myself. And with a little bit of coaxing, looks like it fits. So I'm gonna go ahead and drill the other 4. You don't necessarily need to watch that, so. All right, we got all holes here. Next step would be to round up all of the little plastic. Yeah, that seemed to work really well. So let's see if it lines up. One other thing too, it does come with these holes here, and unfortunately I measured them out and they do not mount up to the quick disconnect system. I think that's probably partially because this is a universal bag. The purpose of these holes, I guess I should say, is for the throw over option, but like I mentioned, I'm not going that route. So they do give you little plugs to fill these in. I'm gonna get all that assembled, and then yeah, we should be able to, you know, mostly be water resistant. I don't know about waterproof, we'll see. So we got the 2 bolts that were in the quick disconnect bracket, and then there should be 2 other ones. So there's 2 other ones and then 4 altogether because there's 2 bags. If this doesn't work, I'm quitting motorcycles. Not bad, not bad. If I do say so myself. It's a little hard to tell on the cameras, but it looks like things are lining up pretty nicely. Two of 4 done. This one might be a little tricky to kind of get it in there. Oh, I figured this was gonna be kind of a pain. Yeah, no, this is more of a pain than I figured. I should probably have one of them magnetic deals. And I think I do, but I have no idea where it is. So, I mean, I know the locking ones you probably want on the inside where the bolt is. Maybe I'll just do that. Keep things simple. Then we just have to worry about this friggin' bolt right here. See if this last one will go in. It's kind of proven to be a little bit of a pain. Let's go. I'm gonna take these guys out real quick and put the washers on the inside. Everything's threaded in there. I just gotta put the bolt, or the nuts, these nuts, on the other side. First inaugural look. Here's that guy down there. Let's see how close that one. So, who knows? I might not be getting a nut on there. Let's do these top ones first. It helps to have something sitting on the inside of this to keep the bag from falling over. One thing I didn't realize was that there might be plastic, as you can hopefully kind of sort of see. Finally made it. I was totally right, and this one right here ended up being just a little bit too low. Thankfully, there's enough flex in the bottom of the bag. See if I can show you real quick to where, yeah, I was able to just barely get it to fit. I had to put a screwdriver under the bolt and push it up, and then the bag was able to flex enough, and then I put the bolt on and tightened it down. So yeah, there it is, all 4 bolts. The bag, and we're ready to put it on. So let's get it on and see what it looks like. Gotta get the keys, unlock it. And there you have it. First impressions is it looks freaking awesome. Again, I'm not loving how much it sticks out. And so I may go get shorter bolts so that I can remove some of these spacers here. But for now, the bag is on. I am going to jump to tomorrow. It's getting late and this took way longer than I thought it would. If I'm being honest, this took like 2.5 hours I've been filming today. So I'm ready to be done and wrap things up tomorrow, but I wanted to at least get the bag on, see what it looked like. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off here. Thank you all for stopping on by. If you like motorcycle content, consider subscribing to the Evergreen Motovlog channel. I've got tons of motorcycle content both on the channel and headed your way, so smash the notification bell for future uploads and our live streams. It sucks to not be done yet, but at the same time, I'm looking forward to getting the bags on the motorcycle. I think they're pretty good quality. They feel like they're really good quality, and that the whole system, once it comes together, is going to be great. So looking forward to it. But let me know down in the comments if you want to see other install videos like this and what your thoughts are on how the Viking bags look on the Honda Rebel and you know, your experience with other motorcycle bags. This is the Evergreen Motovlog channel reminding y'all to ride safe out there, mind your surroundings, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace!